Hi, everyone. Welcome to our marketing minicast. If you are having any issues with your Facebook ad events firing or things are not working right, this is the minicast for you today. My name is Lynn Gregorski. I am with Rapunzel Creative Marketing, and I am joined today by
Ann Popolizio from Social Squib.
Great to see you again, Anne, and thank you for color coordinating with me today. No, we did not call each other. This is just what happens when great marketers get together. We, have that little ESP thing going on, right?
we like to incorporate color into our wardrobe, so
that's how it works out. So, Anne, we worked with you over at Rapunzel Creative because we had an issue on one of our clients' accounts and actually getting an event to set up. We couldn't even get the event to set up. And when we had that issue, you said, oh, well, it's the conversion API. And so for some of us, it's like, what the heck is the conversion API? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
So tell us about the conversion API and how that works with Facebook events.
Yeah. So this, the big push for this changeover to the conversion API started when Apple announced that it was going to be making some major changes with the iOS 14.5 software update. The software update made a slew of changes. The one that people probably as like end users are most familiar with is the ability to turn off, you're getting prompted to opt in to tracking on each app, or you can turn tracking off the device level. That's the biggest change. It was not the only change that the iOS 14.5 update made, but the consequence of it was that Facebook had to change how it was doing its tracking. And so if you've been doing Facebook ads at all, you've been familiar with the Facebook pixel. And traditionally what you did was you had your base code, and then you had your little snippet of event code, and your base code would go on every page of the website, and that would fire a page view event. And then if you had a lead or a purchase or registration or something, you'd put your little event code onto the confirmation page, or you would use the event setup tool and track your button clicks. Everything was happening at the browser level. And what the conversion API is doing is moving all of that tracking of events and user activity to the server itself. Now, that is not something new. So that's what's called a server-side event. Server-side events have long existed, but they really were the domain of like high-level developers. Your average marketer was like, pixel good, click.
Exactly. So what is all that, servers, domains, browsers, like what does that mean to, the small business owner or the, marketing director that's trying to figure out what's going on with their Facebook ads and their events?
Yeah, so it means that the technical setup has changed. That's the biggest thing that it means. Their privacy changes, the privacy rollouts from the 14.5 update. If someone has opted out of tracking, they've opted out of tracking. But it's not just about that. It's also browsers are moving away from third-party cookies. Google announced that they were going to be shifting away from third-party cookies. This isn't unique to Apple. This is coming. This shift towards server-side events is coming regardless. So as a small business owner or marketer, what it means is that you have to set things up differently, and how you set that up is now unique to each web software. So if you're using WordPress, for example, we just put everyone into Pixel Your Site, which is a plugin, and it's a very easy to use plugin, and you just go find Pixel Your Site, and just follow the step-by-step instructions. It'll ask you for your Pixel ID. It'll ask you for your API key. You have to create a little API key if you've ever done any integration between tools. That's something you've done before. but it's very user friendly. The other thing that has to happen is you have to be able to verify the domain. And this is key, because a lot of people, if you got a notification that your ad sets were turning off, the culprit actually wasn't the conversion API server-side event piece of things. It was actually the domain verification. So now when you have a conversion objective campaign, it has to be running to a verified domain. And the pixel, so if you're on WordPress, for example, pixel your site, it makes it super easy to verify your domain. You go into Business Manager, into security, domains, and then I'm rattling these steps off the top of my head, and I'm probably skipping a step here. But you go into domain verification, and it'll give you the instructions, and you just pull the snippet of code out of it, and you just plop that into pixel your site. It's super easy.
Right, and you want to have, I think what we did is our developer was working on that. I was working on Business Manager with you, and we were like reconnecting everything at that point, because it's a lot faster if everybody's got everything open and you're just firing it off at the same time.
Yeah. The tricky part is when you're not in WordPress. So some of the third-party tools, so like Shopify, they were on it. Like they rolled out solutions months ago, and it was a 5-minute setup. But there's other tools that waited until the last minute or took longer to develop a solution. And so not every third-party tool has a server-side event solution, a conversion API solution, and specifically that piece around domain verification. So like we had a client in Entreport came out with the webhook solution, like they announced it to the general public like a week after it went into the enforcement, when the 14.5 enforcement went into effect. But we still had to deal with the domain verification piece of it. And so we ended up, whereas previously the client had just been using the like Entreport domains, we had to set up a subdomain for the client. And so we worked with the developer to set up that subdomain. So now all pages going forward are published to the subdomain so that we can continue to run conversion events.
Wow.
We needed that in order to be able to
that is an extra step.
Verify the domain. There we go, words.
Oh my goodness. So, so do you have any words of advice for people that are kind of trying to figure all this out, because you're providing us with a lot of technical information, right? And I know that we needed some help to do it. Is there somewhere that they can go, or a database that you recommend, like knowledge base you recommend, or call you?
Yeah, you can give me a call, but I also wrote an article for Social Media Examiner outlining these steps specifically for WordPress installation, domain verification. So I think we can drop a link to that article in the chat.
Absolutely, we can put that right into the post for everybody, so that you can get right to the article.
Cool. And if you're seeing this later, or you don't have the comments to this, just Google my name and Social Media Examiner. It will come up, conversion API article. But yeah, that's the tricky technical piece of it. And then so there was kind of 3 core aspects. So one was setting up the server-side event, and that is the tool Facebook was calling the conversion API. And then, but within that, you had to verify your domain as another step. And then there was a third step. You had to set up your aggregated events. Now, aggregated events, this is another one of the changes that came out of the 14.5. That's up enforcement. Aggregated events, the parts that you need to know, there's 2 things that you need to know about them. So one is you're limited to 8 events now. Most marketers were not doing more than 8 events, but some were. So if you were one of those few, you're now limited to 8. But the other piece of it is you also have to order the events in like hierarchical order of priority. So because now the server, when it's doing a conversion API, that server-side event, it's only sending the last event in the sequence, and it's only going to record whatever is the event that you have identified in advance as being the highest priority event. So if I've got, for example, a view content, initiate checkout, add to cart, initiate checkout, followed by purchase. Purchase would be my highest tier, but if I abandon at initiate checkout or at add to cart, that's the event that's going to send. Previously, what would happen is all of those events would send.
Right.
That's not happening anymore. Only the last event in the sequence is happening. Or sorry,
So
it's sending
this
back
should
to
really,
Facebook.
so sorry, and this should really close that gap that we would often see in analytics or in our AdWords results, and just seeing that what happened here, why isn't Facebook really matching up with their numbers to what we're seeing on analytics and other platforms?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, you still want to have multiple data sources. So rule of thumb, always have 3. So if you have your Facebook data, you can have Google Analytics data as your backup, and then obviously you have your native data, the hard, the actual purchase and opt-in and registration numbers. And so you always want to cross-match those 3. It's never going to be perfect. We've been monitoring what we're seeing in Google Analytics with what we're seeing in Facebook. So far, good enough. But you do always want to have, you don't want to ever be 100% relying on Facebook's data. Even before this, you do always want to have Google Analytics
Agreed.
set up.
No argument there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, it's a bit overwhelming, but if I could just simplify it down, there is the conversion API setup, there is the domain verification, and then there's sorting your aggregated events. If you verify your domain, but don't set up conversion API, you can still run your ads, you can still run conversion ads. You're just going to get your data back, and you're going to get unattributed data. Like, Facebook knows the event happened, but it doesn't know who, what, where, when, or how.
Right.
So you'll get wonky data. But if you set up the conversion API but don't verify your domain, that's when Facebook's going to impede your ability to run certain kinds of conversion ads. And if you're in that situation, then maybe you want to look at using lead gen forms on Facebook ads, or maybe selling directly through Facebook if for some reason you really can't get your domain verified. But like I said, the e-commerce platforms were the ones that were on it the most. It was the lead generation platforms that seemed to be lagging. So, or Zapier. Zapier is the other solution for setting up some of the if you can't set up the conversion API, you can set it up third party through Zapier to send the server-side event back to Facebook.
And just so everybody knows, Zapier is like a free tool that is accessible to anybody, that basically connects 2 different data points together and lets different systems speak to one another. So it's a really cool tool if you're interested in getting all geeky and checking that out. Well, Anne, thanks so much. And
You're welcome.
thank you for your help with us on our API issues. It was certainly an adventure, and I'm sure we'll be working with you more on those down the road. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for our second marketing Minicast. All of Anne's information and a link to her article will be in the post, so look for it there. And again, Anne, just great talk.
Thank you, you too.
and I'll see you for our next Minicast.
All right, sounds good. Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.